The iPhone 15 Pro is a disgustingly good device, and for really good reason. Despite it being one of the best devices ever made, for just over a month now I've been using my iPhone 13 mini from 2021 instead. And call me crazy or worse, why for the third time do I find myself compelled to go back to this 2-year-old and downright inferior iPhone after upgrading to a Pro device? The short answer? It's the size. Honestly, ever since I saw that video a couple of years back from Jonathan Morrison and Peter McKinnon, they had upgraded to the 12 mini when everyone else was going to the 12 Pro Max.
There's just something special about the mini. It's so small and perfect in your hands. It feels so good.
Since then though, I found myself upgrading to the new Pro iPhones as they release each year, but still going back to my 12 mini. And sure, go ahead and roast me for getting the new iPhone every year. That's just something I like to do. I don't go out and spend my money on alcohol, clothes, watches, any of that stuff. I just get the new iPhone because it makes me happy. And while I keep swapping back to my mini iPhones, why the hell do I keep getting the new shiny Pro version every single year? Well, to be honest, Apple is incredibly good at marketing and advertising. I seem to get swept up just like everybody else does with all the hype and excitement for each release every September. That, and I'm really passionate about tech. Between ProMotion this and Bionic that, paired with all the other incremental updates you see year over year, I really do get caught up in the mix just like everyone else does. Apple has billions of dollars at their disposal to convince me and us to try their new iPhones each and every year, and well, each year it sort of works. The pattern for me here is that they release the new dope-ass iPhone and then I find myself going back to my mini once that honeymoon phase wears off. Rinse and repeat. But for all this to make sense as to why I swapped my 13 mini in the first place, it's good to know what the iPhone is to me and how I use it. Now, just like everybody else, it's my line of connection to my friends and family, my massively pregnant wife and toddler, and just about anything else I might need. It's how I manage this YouTube channel entirely, and for the first year and a bit of content creation, it was actually my main camera. It's the alarm that gets me up every single morning, my music player for wherever I might be, my timer for cooking, alongside dozens of other things that improve my day-to-day. The thing is, between all the bells and whistles added year over year, we forget that older iPhones aren't just magically obsolete. And pretty much everything I still use an iPhone 4 works just about perfectly on my 13 mini even still. Between the size, the screen, and the raw power, this tiny iPhone for me has this weird ass emotional grip. Now I'm going to touch on everything else that makes the iPhone 13 special to me, but not everything is perfect. One of the main things that might be a deal breaker for anyone wanting to try the 13 mini is actually the battery life, which is probably one of the main things I miss from the 15 Pro. As a desk worker though, I pretty much always have access to a charger one way or another, and if I don't, I'm usually using a MagSafe battery pack. Even now, after a while, I'm still at about 93% battery health on my 13 mini, and without a doubt, I will be replacing the battery long before giving up on the last mini iPhone. But apart from the battery, what else do I really miss from the 15 Pro? Well, surprisingly, I really miss those rounded edges. I thought I liked the squared edges up until getting used to the new titanium finish. They really did do a good job with this on the 15 lineup. I won't pretend like the camera isn't heaps better on the 15 Pro as well, because it is. As a creator, the telephoto lens on the 15 Pro is simply better, especially in low light situations. Now that I am back on my 13 mini though, it's easy to say the camera on here still holds up incredibly well, which I will touch on more in depth shortly. So we know everything I miss about the 15 Pro, but still, what makes the 13 mini so special that I'm swapping back yet again? Well, it's kind of in the name, that being it's mini, and I've realized it's not just my iPhone. In the past, I've actually exchanged my M1 iPad Pro to the Mini 6, my Pro iPhones to the 13 mini of course, and recently my M3 Pro MacBook to the 13-inch M2 Air. What I'm realizing is I've started preferring tinier tech, even if it adds a bit more friction on the performance side of my day-to-day. With this smaller body though, it's still built incredibly well like any Apple product would be. It sort of reminds me of the iPhone 5, which was my favorite device of all time, and I even have one framed. And as wild as it seems, having a smaller display is just better for me. It's more pocketable, it's easy to use single-handed, and it still does 95% of what I was able to do on my iPhone 15 Pro. And it's super corny to say, but it simply makes me use my phone less, which I can't appreciate. Between the constant expectation of availability by cell phone and social media apps literally designed to keep my attention, this is just one tiny way I found success in having less screen time overall. Still, in greater depth, this device didn't just magically get worse when the new iPhones launched, it's still legitimately incredible. And as much as it's said, the best camera is the one you have. And as mentioned, this camera alongside other iPhones have carried this channel for over a year and a half. Now I don't really have anything fun to shoot, but I do want to showcase the capabilities of both photo and video when it comes to this camera. From my past experience, I already know it does incredibly well. And sure, it doesn't have that telephoto lens you'd find on the Pro models. Still, if the conditions are right, you can zoom in decently enough, and yes, the footage still looks good. And though it doesn't have Apple log footage from the Pro lineup, you can still color grade this footage to suit your needs. Most days as well, I actually find myself using the 1080p cinematic mode quite a lot and just bumping the f-stop up so it doesn't look so noticeably fake. And when it comes to stills and portraits, they come out incredible as well. As with any camera, big or small, you simply need more light to make better photos. Now, comparatively, obviously the 13 isn't going to look as good as the newer devices, but that also doesn't mean it's bad. And similarly to the camera, pretty much every single thing I throw at this device is still handled no problem. For day-to-day stuff like messaging, content consumption, browsing, and even gaming, I legitimately don't see a difference between this and the Pro models. Every app I open is instantaneous, every game I play is smooth, and simply put, every sense of navigating iOS is practically the same as newer models. And I don't game on my iPhone as much as I used to, but I have played all the Grand Theft Autos except Vice City, and my first playthrough has been on the 13 mini. I'm just surprised I didn't play it sooner. And yes, while the display is all that much smaller, it really is still an excellent display. Of course, it's the cursed 60Hz that everyone likes to complain about, but honestly, after 30 minutes of swapping from my 15 Pro, I've almost forgotten about the 120Hz. Obviously, it's noticeable side to side, but you're not really doing this day to day. And comparatively, I won't pretend like ProMotion isn't 1010% better because it is. It's just for me, I don't think I care as much as I thought I would. This is still a well-sized, albeit smaller OLED display, which gets plenty bright indoors and out. And again, I can't stress how much I appreciate a display where my thumb can reach edge to edge without strain. Yeah, there are things I miss, but in the world of constant upgrades and consumption, I'm not sure I care quite as much as I used to. Either that or I'm infatuated with out-of-date tech, or I'm still a power user and the 13 mini still covers me for everything I need. And let's be real too, since this is a tech channel, I'm probably still going to be picking up the 16 or the 16 Pro whenever the hell that comes out, but I think I'm probably going to be using the 13 mini as my daily driver as long as I possibly can. But in the meanwhile, whenever I do need a larger display, I've still got my iPad mini and MacBook Air to do whatever else I need. And it's not like my 15 Pro is banished to a drawer either to collect dust, since really it's still the perfect side camera to my current setup, especially with all it has to offer quality-wise. I think for now the 13 mini will remain my daily driver as long as I can get replacement batteries for it, or until Apple releases another mini iPhone. Maybe they'll bring it back as an SE, we'll find out, but until then, I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Till next time.